At 60, Diana Cole was the kind of woman institutions called upon when they needed to look serious. CEO of the Meridian Foundation, one of the largest nonprofit healthcare advocacy organizations in the country. Her name appeared on panels at Davos. Her opinion on health equity policy could shift the direction of a Senate hearing. She had built herself from the ground up, daughter of a nurse and a mechanic who believed, with a fervor bordering on religion, that his children would have the education he never did. 35 years of relentless work, 2 master's degrees, a memoir that spent 11 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, and a townhouse in Buckhead with 3 empty bedrooms she walked through every night like a curator closing a museum. She had built a life that worked perfectly. The problem with things that work perfectly is that you stop asking whether they're alive. Renee Washington had been her best friend since Spelman, back when they were both 20, and convinced the world owed them something extraordinary. Renee had retained, through 3 decades of medical practice, the superpower of saying the unbearable thing with surgical precision and a glass of rosé in her hand. "You're disappearing, Dee," Renee said at dinner, not unkindly. "I'm right here. Physically. I mean the other thing. When's the last time you did something that surprised you?" Diana opened her mouth, closed it. "You've spent 30 years building things for other people," Renee said. "I'm just asking when you last built something for yourself." Diana picked up her wine glass, set it down without drinking. 2 weeks later, Renee sent a link. Han Movement Studio, Dance and Wellness for Adults 40 and Over. Instructor, Jin Seo. On a Thursday evening, Diana was standing outside a studio in Inman Park, still in her work clothes, heels on the sidewalk, wondering what had gotten into her. The space was clean and uncluttered, hardwood floors, 1 wall of mirrors, soft lighting. Then she saw him. He was standing near the far window, watching in a way that didn't announce itself as watching. Korean, she estimated. Mid to late 50s. Silver threading through black hair at his temples. He looked settled in a way that most people spend their whole lives reaching for. Diana Cole? A statement more than a question. That's right. Jin Seo. A slight nod. "Welcome. You can leave your bag at the front." "I'm fine with it." "I know," he said. "But your neck is carrying it before you've even started moving." She left the bag at the front desk. When he placed one hand at her waist and extended the other, the frame is a structure, not a grip, Diana felt something she couldn't immediately name. Not attraction, though that was there too, quiet and slightly inconvenient. The sensation of being read by someone who wasn't trying to use the information. She came back the following Tuesday. And every session for the next 6 weeks, the most consistent non-work commitment her assistant Kayla had seen her keep in 3 years. The conversations with Jin started sideways, without announcement. After class, when the other students had gone. "Why non-profit?" he asked one evening. "I watched my father die at 63 of a stroke that might have been caught if he'd had proper primary care," she said. "I decided I'd rather spend my career trying to fix the system than benefit from it." He nodded. Not the performative nod that meant, "I'm listening," but the nod that meant the information had actually arrived somewhere. 2 weeks later, she told him about her ex-husband. Not strategically, it surfaced the way real things do when you've stopped guarding the edges. "My marriage ended when I was 44, she said. "My husband had been conducting a relationship for 6 years. I found out from her, not from him. I was more angry at myself than at him. I'm paid to read situations. I had missed every signal." "So you decided to need less from people," Jin said. "I decided to be more self-sufficient." "Same thing," he said quietly. "Different name." She asked about his wife. "Su-Yan passed 7 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. We had 5 months from diagnosis. She was the one who loved movement. I learned after, because standing still felt like a decision I hadn't made." "How do you talk about her like that?" Diana said. "Without armor. Because pretending she didn't exist would be the worst thing I could do to her memory, he said. She was real. She should be spoken about like something real. It was the following Thursday that Jin said what he saw. The class had ended. Diana was standing near the mirror, actually looking at herself. Not checking. Looking. "You're not okay," he said. "You've just learned to hide it better than everyone else." "I'm fine," she said, and her voice came out exactly as it always did. "Fine and okay aren't the same thing, and you know it." He held her gaze. "You wake up every morning and perform competence for a world that decided long ago you'd have to earn your right to be in it. You've been so good at it for so long that you can't tell anymore where the performance ends and you begin. And what do you see?" Her voice was lower than she'd intended. "A woman who built an extraordinary life," he said simply, "and forgot to leave a door in it. Diana Cole, who had testified before Congress, who had negotiated 9-figure deals, who had held her mother's hand in the ICU without flinching, felt her eyes burn. For 3 full seconds, her composure was not a decision. It was a struggle, and Jin saw it, and did not look away, and somehow that was the most respectful thing anyone had done for her in a very long time. "I don't know," she said, "how to be any other way." "Most people don't the first time," he said. "That's what the second time is for." Jin returned to Seoul 6 weeks later, an unresolved consulting matter, a family obligation. She kept the studio open, added rehabilitation sessions, a ballroom instructor, a monthly gathering she called Open Floor. No instruction, no agenda, just music and the permission to move however you needed to. She named the expanded program Second Season. He came back on a Tuesday in October without warning. She was running Open Floor when the music changed. She turned toward the sound system. Jin was in the doorway, watching the room that had been his spare, quiet studio and was now full of women in their 50s and 60s, moving with varying degrees of grace and identical degrees of intention. He looked at it all for a long moment. Then he looked at Diana. "You didn't say you were coming," she said, "because you would have prepared. I wanted to see the real version." "And?" "It's better than I imagined," he said. "The studio, and the real version of you." Later, when the studio had emptied, they danced. He extended his hand. She took it. The same frame as that first Thursday, his hand at her waist, hers on his shoulder. Except it was not the same. She was not guarding anything, not performing anything. She was just there, moving. "What are we doing?" she said, not anxiously, with the steadiness of a woman who asks because she deserves real answers. "Building something," he said, carefully, without a deadline. "I'm 60 years old, Jin." "You have exactly as much time as you have," he said. "The question is what you want to spend it on." "I want to spend it awake," she said. "Then we agree." And they kept dancing, not toward anything and not away from anything. Just 2 people who had been alone long enough to understand that choosing someone is not weakness. It is the bravest thing a fortress can do.